can't find that Mitt Romney yet, whoever it is.
It seems as if the actual Mitt Romney won't work as a Mitt Romney. How about that?
Yeah, it does. That's my view.
Interesting? Yeah. Well, I think in Mitt Romney, you've got a very interesting character. I mean, I think I've seen mannequins in less empty suits. I think the thing about Mitt Romney, he looks like the President of the United States. I mean, this guy looks like if there were a movie about the President of the United States, we should cast Mitt Romney and have him play that role. The trouble with a guy like Mitt Romney is I don't think he knows what he believes on almost any issue. Pick almost any topic, and he's on at least 2, if not 3 or 4 sides thereof. And that's very, very frustrating to me. I do think he has one very strong attribute, which is blind ambition, and that's not nothing. I think he wants the job more than anybody else, and he also has money, and those 2 things might propel him forward. But in terms of somebody who actually will get in the White House and have any idea what he wants to do other than just wait for the phone to ring or wait for the inbox to be filled, I think there's nothing else there beyond that.
Well, the fact is, Deroy, we live in a country, thank God, where the President of the United States looks more like you than Mitt Romney looks like him. So we are changing, thank God. Our notion of what a president ought to look like is changing, thank God. Let me go to that same question with Sam, and that's the question. My feeling is the first thing you do when you try to pick a president is figure out where you want him to look, what you want, and then try to find the who that fits that. They seem to want a solid, experienced executive who can take on a president who's still seen as a little bit shaky in terms of experience. And they want somebody with business horse sense. They don't seem to have one in Mitt Romney because he's boring. I think Deroy's right. I think he doesn't have the spontaneity, the novelty you want in a candidate, and that's still really important to people.
Well, it's tough to beat the mannequin line, so I won't even go there. But I think that those poll numbers are really troubling for people like Sarah Palin, who, in state poll after state poll that we're seeing, doesn't fare well against even Barack Obama and even Tennessee. And I think the Republican primary voters are cognizant of that. They don't want to put someone up who's just going to get defeated by Obama. And keep in mind, they need to put someone up who can raise a ton of money, because everyone knows that Obama is going to be raising over $700 million, which he did last cycle. He's going to be raising more than that. So yeah, they need someone who can raise money, probably a business person.
Okay, gentlemen, look at the starting gate here. We've got the new poll here. It's, again, a CNN poll. It's got the 5 top Republicans. And there they are, Huckabee, Palin, Romney, and then who else? And then Gingrich, and then Ron Paul. Again, to you, Deroy, first. That list adds up to about 75% support right now. It's not exactly overwhelming. I don't think people are thrilled with that list.
I don't know. I guess they're really not. And unlike previous years, we had 1 or 2 people sort of as front runners and people lined up in one camp or the other. I think it's really quite wide open. And there's this discussion about Jeb Bush. I mean, this whole talk about Jeb Bush to me sounds like it's like watching the King's Speech, where you've got King George there, and the 2 brothers are trying to decide which one's going to take over. The GOP, after a lot of effort, finally has moved away from the destruction of the Bush family, and this whole effort where people come in as Republicans and spend like crazy, grow government more rapidly than almost anybody since LBJ, and now here comes another Bush to step in and ruin the progress we've made since George Bush went back to the ranch. So I really want to pour lots of cold water on the Jeb Bush movement.
I think you're a Margaret Thatcher conservative. You're not a wet Tory. That's
not
for
wet
sure.
At all. No,
you're not wet at all. The wets, by the way, are the British old sort of Oxonians that all end up being moderates when they get in there. Right. Let's take a look at what Rich Lowry said in the National Review. He's the editor, of course. He wants Bush to run for the following reasons. He says the field's wide open. He says it's 2016 would be too late for Jeb if he waits another 4 years. And then, by the way, waiting doesn't seem to work for people. He also says he'll still be a Bush in 26 and still have that on his shoulders, which is a negative. And by the way, he'll be able to unite the Republicans. Since Deroy's already said no, what do you say, Sam?
Well, you know, Deroy's bringing the one-liners tonight, and I'd hate to disagree with him on Jeb. But, you know, I did a report on this about a couple months ago, and it was shocking to me, but most Democrats are very fearful of Jeb among everyone else. They think that his more tolerant stance on immigration, for instance, is something that can appeal to the Hispanic population and a wider swath of moderate voters. The problem, I think, is that Jeb can't get by a Republican primary, in part because of his last name, in part because of the immigration issue. And, you know, that's the main problem here, is that you're not talking about a wider electorate, you're talking about a primary electorate.
You know what I think he's good on? Can I say one thing in his favor? I think he's really interested in education.
Yeah.
And Deroy, your thoughts. I really think that's one thing the country does agree on. We don't succeed right now in education. We got to figure it out somehow, whether it's vouchers or something.
I think you're right about that. I think he did some good things in terms of school choice in Florida. Maybe if we still have a Department of Education under the next Republican president, perhaps he should be Secretary of Education. I think that'd be a good thing. But I don't want to see him in the Oval Office as President of the United States. I think we've two Bushes within a few years of each other would be more than enough as far as that goes.
Deroy, you look more like the president than that guy, that Romney guy. Just we have that going for us in this country. Anyway, thank you to Deroy Murdock from the National Bureau and Sam Stein from the ever-growing, ever more important Huffington Post. I hope you have some stock,
Chris.
Sam.